Have you ever wondered how the Boeing 747 became so successful? Have you ever wondered how Boeing built the aircraft, collaborated with the airlines, and made the jet a reality? Have you ever wondered what the Boeing 747 is all about? Join me as we attend Tom Livesey's seminar from Airliners International 2024. The 747 turns 55. It's time to see what the Boeing 747 is all about, and I really hope all of you enjoyed this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Before we begin, I want to give a huge thank you to Tom Livesey and Airliners International for making this seminar possible. This seminar was so much fun and shows how much enjoyment can be had at Airliners International. Be sure to check out Tom Livesey's full seminar on the World Airlines Historical Society YouTube channel, as there's so much to digest from this presentation. That being said, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. The Boeing 747 turned 55 in 2024, and I'm really excited to cover all of what this seminar entailed. Tom Livesey did a fantastic job diving into all the details that we need to know about the Boeing 747, and once again, just how cool of an aircraft it was. So first and foremost, we start by, exploring a couple clips, then we dive into really the history of the 747, and then that's followed up with a couple of his amazing slides that he took during the 1970s and 80s. So no shortage of fun content here. I'm really excited to dive into all the material today, and again, I hope each and every one of you are as well. So let's go ahead and get started with the seminar. First and foremost, this one lasted about 45 minutes, so definitely a healthy duration there, to say the least. It started with a 6-minute promo video of the Boeing 747 and advertising why the aircraft was so capable in many ways, from the, at that time, efficient engines and also all the capacity that came with as well, and obviously being able to fly overseas. It truly was a huge difference maker for, all the airlines and what they were looking for. So there's certainly quite a large backstory to in that 6-minute video. Along with the full video, as I said, I'd recommend checking it out so you can gain a better appreciation and understanding of the Boeing 747 as we know it today. But that was definitely a fun way to start the seminar for sure. So that was definitely fantastic. So then we start to get into the discussion about what they were looking for with the aircraft. So looking, obviously to develop a larger aircraft that was capable of flying across the oceans and carrying a bunch of passengers with it as well. Obviously, we start with the prop age and the various aircraft that came with that, and then we got more sophisticated into the jet age with the Boeing 707 and other really cool aircraft. Obviously, all of us know test pilot Tex Johnson and what he did with Boeing, turning around the initial 707 prototype, the Dash 80 variant, and obviously at the time the CEO wasn't very happy about that, but it ended up gaining Boeing so much traction that can never be denied. Even with that stunt, it's incredible to see what really happened there and how incredible it was. So what an incredible aircraft the 707 was, and that really led to the evolution of wide-body aircraft following obviously the 707's launch. So it's definitely super important to note that and what went into that. So it was really cool to see that Boeing CEO, and I'm so frustrated that I'm blanking on his name off the top of my head. It might be Bill, whatever it is. I apologize that I'm forgetting. But anyway, he was working with the Pan Am. I believe it was the CEO or some representative from the airline. And I believe they were on an Alaska fishing trip or equivalent. They were in some sort of really cool spot when they decided that they were going to build the 747. And I believe the CEO said, actually it was Pan Am that said, if you build it, I'll buy it. That's what they said. And then the Boeing CEO said, if you buy it, I'll build it, which I thought was kind of funny. So that led to the origin of the Boeing 747 as we know it today. So the aircraft really is incredible in so many ways. Again, the seminar really goes into some awesome details, but I'll kind of give you what I have off the top of my head. So obviously the fuel efficiency, like I said, was very impressive for the time, with 4 engines for that large of an aircraft, and also the passenger capacity as well. Obviously you can have different configurations, but I believe I think it was Japan Airlines requested Boeing to make a 500 plus passenger variant of the Boeing 747, which ended up turning into the 747 SR, I believe. So that was really cool that they requested that, and just the variety that Boeing could put into developing this aircraft was certainly very noteworthy at the time. So there's absolutely no complaints in that regard. But yeah, just getting the aircraft's prototypes and the blueprints off the ground and what went into that was super cool. Obviously the aircraft had 3 pilots: the captain, the first officer, and of course the flight engineer. If any of you have been in a 747 Classic at any museum or see the pictures, you can certainly tell that the flight engineer's job is essentially just as vital as the captain and the first officer's job. They're all very important roles, and there's no doubt what goes into making this a reality. So it's really cool to think about all of that. And again, what went with this aircraft. So of course you had the initial types, the 747 SP, the 747-100, 747-200, and all the other variants, including the freighter as well, which went into service. I believe Lufthansa was the launch carrier for that, which was really cool. And just thinking about all the parts that got shipped from Wichita, Kansas on trains all the way up to Seattle, which is where the origin of the Everett plant began. I believe, I'm trying to remember if they were somewhere in southern Washington building planes. I can't remember exactly where it was, but they were looking for a new facility to, obviously build the Boeing 747 because of how much larger it was. They were going to need much more space. So that led to the Everett facility being constructed, which I believe is still the largest. I think it was building. I'm forgetting if it was building or employer or what it was, but it was the largest at the time, whatever it was. I think it was building. So obviously they built those hangars up there, and the hangars weren't even done when they started to build the 747. So that definitely shows how pressing it was for Boeing to get this going, and they were taking out so many loans and other, pieces to the puzzle that made this just a wreck. And even the CEO said at a time that he slept, or had sleepless nights trying to come up with whatever plan they could to get the finances and be able to pull the Boeing 747 together. And luckily that's what they were able to do between 1967 and 1969 when the aircraft finally launched. And it was so cool to see just what went into it. Boeing, I have 5 million a day list. I don't know if that's what they lost or what exactly it was when I was listening to this, but there was some sort of big number. It might have been $5 million a day. I'm not sure what it was, but anyway, whatever the case was, it was such a huge investment for Boeing, and really went to show what went into Boeing and what happened with this. But luckily it was finally able to get off the ground in 1969, and the prototype started to come out. Obviously Pan Am being one of the first customers, among other airlines as well. TWA was another one, Eastern Airlines, so you name it, it was there. So it was just so cool to see the progression of what went into this, and overall, once again, just so many various pieces to the puzzle. So that was certainly huge, to say the least. And another really cool point that Tom made during the seminar that I wouldn't have initially thought about is during this time frame in the 1970s, 1980s, you would see almost every single carrier have a Boeing 747. I mean, even we kind of overlooked that American Airlines, for example, had the 747, but they had 747 SPs and 100s. Even though most of them got converted to freighters pretty quickly on, they still had representation of Boeing 747. Look at airlines like Delta, United, TWA, Pan Am. All these major carriers in the United States and beyond had Boeing 747s. And then getting back over to other regions of the world, British Airways, Lufthansa, South African Airways, which I don't know when they were founded, but just all these carriers over time had 747s. Japan Airlines, Qantas, you name it, any airline that you would have known of at that time had a Boeing 747. And it really gained recognition and awareness to what the 747 was and what its capabilities were, which I think is so cool. Not to mention all the different configurations that came with the 747. You could have Pratt & Whitney engines, you can have General Electric engines, you could have Rolls-Royce engines. So there was no shortage of the ideal combination for these carriers. And again, all the different variants, the 747, 100, 200 SP, and then later on, obviously the 400, the 300, and we even got into the 747-8 before the program was discontinued. Obviously in early 2023 was the last delivery to Atlas Air. So it's incredible that this aircraft made it over 50 years by a mile, and it truly goes to show what the 747 was all about. I mean, it's just fantastic to think about all the capabilities that went into this aircraft and, the various routes that it was able to serve. And again, I really would recommend checking out the seminar as it goes into full detail. It talks about, like when Northwest got the aircraft, for example, or other major details that are important pieces of the puzzle. So it's cool to see that, and absolutely fantastic to say the least, in its cargo operation as well. So that was absolutely awesome. And then for the last few minutes of the seminar, I believe the last 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes, Tom goes into details about some 747s that he was able to spot and the slides that he got of those, which were fantastic pictures, and I really recommend looking at them. It's a little tough to see in the actual seminar itself because what am I looking for here? the camera, the lighting was a little off, so it was a little tougher to see, but fortunately I'll have a video coming out on Tom's 747 slides as he did a separate presentation on those, and luckily I was able to get the lighting right, so I have some good shots of that. So I'll absolutely feature that and definitely bring that all to you so we can see that in an upcoming video. So stay tuned for that one, along with the rest of the Airliners International videos to come. But these seminars are really fun. I'm really excited to cover more of them, so not sure which one we'll do next, but there's certainly plenty of options out there, and I'm really excited to cover them all, and I hope each and every one of you are excited to see them. So with that being said, that'll do for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and one of you for watching. My name is Redriveraviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe, trust process, do what you love and love what you do. My name is Redriveraviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as Redriveraviation is signing off.